What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Or maybe I should say welcome back to myself, because I've been MIA for like the past few months. But anyways, I'm back at it now, and I've actually taken a bit of a change of direction on my main project, which is the COE. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so basically, as a few of my viewers have pointed out, I pretty much botched the patch panel that I made here for the rear of the cab. I screwed it up by bead rolling the center last, and that caused the panel to pull in a little bit, giving me these offsets here on the outside edges. And then also, once I finished welding it, I went straight to planishing it with my planishing hammer, which caused a whole lot of stretching around the weld seam, which made it worse. And then I started trying to shrink areas back down with the torch, and it's just gotten to a point where I'm not even really sure that I want to continue to try and repair this repair and just maybe start over. But I haven't come to a solid decision on that yet. However, in the meantime, I did decide I wanted to keep working towards getting the 24 valve Cummins running. So what I'm doing is, well, I'll just show you. All right, here's the truck chassis. As you can see, no more drivetrain. And the reason why, I've decided that I was gonna go ahead and stick this monster of a motor inside my 55 Chevy chassis that I have. So I've been working on that the last few days. I've redesigned the compound turbo system. I'm just about getting ready to finish weld everything, as you can see here, and I am going to back purge it so that it gets a nice clean weld all the way through. And basically this car is real close to being able to run and drive. It's already set up with a hydro boost. It's got a new steering column in it, and it's just a lot closer than the truck is. So I decided to do this, and presently I'm, like I said, working on finishing up the compound setup, and then I'm gonna move towards the rear axle. Now, I originally modified this frame to run C4 Corvette independent front suspension and independent rear suspension. I'm gonna go ahead and continue to use the front suspension. It's already all set up, but the rear suspension, however, I have a real solid idea that is not going to hold anywhere near the amount of torque that this drivetrain is going to put out at very low RPM. So I have a 57 Chevy as well, and this 57, it has a 12 bolts posi with 373s in the back out of a Chevelle, and I think that that'll stand up a lot better than that Dana 36 out of a Corvette. So I've taken my measurements, and I'm like 99% sure that with the wheels I want to run on the chassis, this Chevelle differential will work. So I'm pulling the car over here so that I can jack it up in front of the shop and rip this axle out and do a little swap-a-root. So I figured I'd show you guys how I move cars around my backyard here, since everything I work with weighs so dang much. Basically what I have here is a little 120 volt winch that plugs into a regular outlet. And what I do is I just find points in my shop or outside where I can attach it, and I'll use a little strap right here to wrap it around it. I do have certain areas in my shop where I bolt it to the floor as well. As you can see, I have a mounting plate for that. But if I have to pull a car outside and I don't have something solid like that post to hook up to, what I'll do is take one of these stakes that are made of steel, and they're about 3 feet long, and I'll just hammer it into the ground wherever I need the car to go, and wrap my winch's strap around it and get to pulling, and it works really well. So I'll give you guys a little demonstration. Got my cable hooked up, and we're just gonna try and pull it back and line it up with the garage door. All right, here we go. All right, so due to the position of my truck here and the angle that the car is going in at, it's not going to line up the way I want it to. So we're going to move the winch outside and pull it forward some more. And then you guys can see what I'm talking about with the stake method. All right, so I got the stake pounded in the ground about halfway. Threw my strap over it and we're hooked up to the car. Now watch how easy this is. And now we drag it back in the shop and do it all over again. All right, I think we got it this time. Looks like long enough shot. Always make sure you're watching where the car's going. Otherwise you could end up hitting some stuff you don't want to. I didn't, but I got close. All right, I just straightened out the wheels and I think we'll pull right past those spikes, no problem. But we'll keep an eye on it. All right, just straighten out the wheels and we should be good to go. Well, we got it where we wanted, but a little bit of time laying underneath the 57 Chevy there and contemplating whether or not that 12 bolt was going to work on this frame. And I came to the conclusion that it's not, and the reason why is because of my center frame bracing here. Differential doesn't move up and down, the pinion angle doesn't change. So I put in all these cross sections and I don't really want to cut them out and redesign that just so that I can put in the 12 bolts. So we're gonna say YOLO and we're just gonna run this Dana 36 out of a Corvette and we're gonna see how much it takes to blow it up. So right now what I'm just working on is relocating the dog bone mounts because I had this welded into this frame and I cut it out because I felt like the rear wheels were sitting about an inch too far back and I want to correct for that. It wasn't very noticeable, but it bothered me, so here we are. Basically, these are the dog bones. They control the position of the wheel front to back, and these were my original mount designs. I had a very long bolt. See if I could find one of them. Yeah. And they ran through the frame and secured the dog bone there. Now, there was a little bit of error in my way of thinking because I didn't think about the fact that as these dog bones pivot up and down, they're gonna twist on the bolt and it'll eventually break loose. So I've come up with a new idea and it's really quite simple. You can see how I had to make these mount points stand off about a ½ inch. That was because the dog bones don't quite, match up to the frame here, as you can see. So my new plan is the hardware that fits those is ½ inch. What I'm gonna do is take ½ inch nuts and weld them on the frame an inch forward of where the old mounts are, just like this. And then I'm going to create a 3/16 plate that wraps around to the outside of the dog bone. And that way they're completely separated from the hardware. And the plate will weld to the frame up here and give it a lot of support so that the nuts don't rip out of the frame. So that's basically what I'm doing now, and then I'll work on getting the center mount made again and also the rear bat wing mounts. But let's get started on this. I got the first nut welded on for the top bracket there, moved it forward exactly 1 inch. You have to drop it down 1.5 inches as well because it's just not going to attach to the frame rail if you try to keep it up here. But all right, what I ended up doing actually was just getting both top dog bones installed. They're both 1 inch forward and 1.5 inches lower than the original mounting point, which was very precise because I was able to get it so close to some holes that are on both sides of the frame, so I had a good measuring point. Anyways, next step was setting the pinion angle because it's a independent rear differential.
We're gonna go with a pinion angle of 0, and the reason why we're gonna do that is because that sets our lower camber arms also towards the spindle end here. That puts the bolt that goes through the camber arm at a 0-degree angle, and I'm gonna go with. And the way I'm gonna locate where this dog bone is supposed to bolt to, I'm gonna take this bolt out, I'm gonna install this bracket, and with the pinion angle where it's supposed to be, this guy doesn't really have anywhere to go except for the exact location that it needs to be. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about when I get to that step. All right, so my pinion angle is at 0, camber arm angle is at 0, and that puts this guy at about a 58-degree angle, and this is where my bolt's gotta go. So Sharpies don't fit through a 1/2-inch hole. I pop the tip off and just put it through there. Make sure you get it in a couple spots. You can see what's going on right there, but and then we just move all this stuff out of the way, and yep, that's where we're gonna be drilling or welding on our other nut, and then we can jump to the other side. All right, I'm just doing a quick test fit of the body before I move on with my plan, and I really like it. That 1 inch makes a huge difference. So both sides look good. We're ready to go ahead and continue on with the brackets and get the differential mounted. All right, so the next step I'm gonna take is to make the supporting bracket that's gonna come off of here and mount to these. First thing I'm gonna do is take the original bracket and trace out the bolt holes, and I'm gonna cut out a section of paper that's a bit larger than it, and we're just gonna kind of shape it by hand. You'll see what I mean. All right, so that's basically the bracket drawn out on the paper there. I'm not gonna cut it out in this fashion because we're gonna shave a lot off of the top for certain so that it doesn't interfere with the body once we install it, and we'll probably shave some off of the bottom as well. And we're gonna elongate the back end here so that we can wrap it around and tie it onto the frame. All right, so what I went ahead and did was cut out the holes that I made with a razor blade, and fits pretty well. It was a little bit tight, but I think we'll be okay. And basically what I'm gonna do now is just kind of identify, you know, where I want the bracket to be as far as how much I'm gonna lop off of these corners here. And also I'm gonna determine where I want my bend to be, and I'll mark that off the back here. So what I'm gonna do is just mark on the back of these dog bones here where I think that I should bend my template, and we'll go ahead and draw a line across that, and we'll bend it with a straight edge so that it's nice and straight, and then we'll just trim this to fit the frame, and should come out pretty nice. All right, I cut out my template here and put the bend in it, and we're ready to get an idea of where we're trying to go on the frame with it. So all right, so obviously this is not the first piece of paper that I started with showing you guys, but I quickly realized I didn't leave enough on the bottom here to get enough attachment point on the frame. So I just traced my old template onto a new piece of paper real quick, gave myself some extra room, and here we are. So we're about ready to transfer this over to metal and get it cut out with the plasma cutter, because we're gonna do it out of 3/16. And yeah, we'll get the frame cleaned up, and hopefully we'll get these welded on by the end of the night. Got the template all transferred over. Gonna fire up the plasma cutter and get those things cut out. Put it on time lapse so you can watch. So I forgot to press record, but that's okay because I did a horrible job and nobody should see it. But we can clean it up on the grinder and sander here, which is exactly what we're gonna do. And it should be just fine. Hey everyone, so my battery died on my camera last night before I could do my last shot. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get the brackets welded to the car. What ended up happening was they're about a 1/2 inch too short on this side. unfortunately. I guess the paper is just probably leaning inwards, and we cut too much off. So I went ahead and made a couple of new ones, got them cut out. I actually used a ruler this time, so my cuts are nice and straight. Won't need a lot of work on the grinder, and hopefully this time they fit. So wish me luck. All right, well, we had a lot better luck on the second time. They didn't come out perfect. The fitment was perfect up here, but as we got further down, it was a little bit away from the frame, maybe about 1/8 of an inch, I'm not gonna lie. And I did fill the gap with the welder. Just didn't want to make them again, but it came out okay, and I'm not complaining at all. So I got the other side done as well. I made sure this one fit a lot better because I did that side first completely, and didn't have as many problems. The holes weren't lined up as straight on this side, so it caused the bracket to tilt this way. You can see the bottom's not all the way down, so I had to fold the edge over here a little bit with the hammer, but like I said, it all worked out, and we can move on to making the cross brace. So that's what we're gonna jump on first thing tomorrow. I'm gonna go make some dinner. You'll have a good night. Hey, good morning everybody. It's my Saturday, so out here in the shop this morning, and our goal for today is to finish getting the differential mounted in. That includes the mounts for the bat wing. We're gonna make some 1/8 inch plate. Luckily, I already have a template from when it was already installed, so I'm just gonna cut out some of these and get that mounted up, and we're gonna make a cross brace that has an attachment point for the snout and also attachment points for the coilovers. And then we're also going to make the drive shaft. I got my yoke, my welding yoke for this side of it, and I have the U-joint as well, so we should be able to finish all that today. And first thing we're gonna do is cut out our cross brace section. I measured already, it's 35.5 inches approximately in between the frame rails. So I've got some 2x2 tubing we're gonna use for that. Mark our 35.5 on the tubing. 35.5 was perfect. It's starting to fit in between the frame rails. I just have to grind down all this slag from cutting off the old cross member, and it should fit in place perfect. All right, well, I'm back from the barber, and I just finished welding my tabs on for the coilovers. This is what we've got. And now we just have to come up with the center brace section. But before we could do that, I think we're gonna go ahead and make the mounts for the bat wing, which is the differential cover. And that'll help center the diff right where we want it, even though it can't go very far because we already have the dot probes attached. All right, here's the two pieces I've cut out to mount the ears of the differential cover. These are gonna go on the front side of it, and then we will make a template for the back side because they're gonna be a little bit shorter due to the shape of the frame. So we're gonna go clean up the frame right now and get these tack welded in there and slide some bolts through. Got the bat wing mounts all tacked in there on the front side. Our pinion angle is good, about 1/2 degree pointing up, a little less. And now all we have to do, make the template for the back side here, and then make the front support, and the rear end will be done. Then we just gotta move on to doing the drive shaft. Got the back ears done, got them welded on there, and I got the center support tack welded in. We're gonna go ahead and make the final piece here that's gonna come off of this and land down here, and then we'll be done. All right, well, luckily I already had this piece cut out from the first go around, and here's our little template for our supports that are gonna go down, and it's gonna work just like that. So
Let's get this put on some metal and cut out. Moving right along, I went ahead and trimmed about a ½ an inch off of the original drive shaft that came off of the Dodge that this drivetrain came out of. And I got a weld-in yoke fitting for it that'll match up with the Dana 36 here out of a Corvette. And I went ahead and pressed it in, cleaned the tube up. I think we're ready to weld it together, and I think we're gonna have to take the slip yoke off so that we can take the drive shaft to get balanced, but that's not a big deal. Get it welded up, and then I think we'll call it a day. We got a lot done. And there it is, ready to go. I'm just letting it cool down. I'll push the U-joint in there tomorrow. Probably take off the slip yoke as well, so I can take it to the drive shaft shop to get balanced. And yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night. Made a lot of progress, and it's time for some dinner, so I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Later.